Hey everybody, I'm Hunter Allen with Peaks Coaching Group. I wanted to talk a little bit about today what's called dynamic FRC, or functional reserve capacity. Dynamic functional reserve capacity. So a quick little lesson on what is functional reserve capacity. So when we think about functional reserve capacity, we have this curve here where we have what we call our mean maximal power curve. Okay, so we have time down here and we have watts on the y-axis. And that curve here is helping us to understand exactly where we produce watts in what time, right? So 1 minute we produce 600 watts, 5 minutes we produce 300 watts, etc. Now, out here we have our FTP. Let's say this FTP is right in this range right here. Okay, so we have kind of our FTP here. This might be whatever this is, let's call this 1 hour, right, of course. And then we've got this, let's say this is 300 watts. All of this area under the curve here, but above FTP, is what we call functional reserve capacity. So all this area right in here, this is all of your functional reserve capacity. This is the work you can do above your FTP. All right, work you can do above your FTP. So that's important to understand because that incorporates your VO2 max level 5, that incorporates your level 6 anaerobic capacity, and your neuromuscular power level 7. Now, when we do work here, we deplete this. It's much like a battery, okay? So we deplete this. And then we need to replenish that, and the only way to replenish that is to ride below our FTP. We have to go below that FTP. Now, there's a new chart in WKO5 called DFRC, Dynamic FRC. And what that is that shows you your workout as you do your intervals, right? So you're going out and you're doing these intervals. And let's say, for example, you're cruising along here, and then you do your 3-minute interval, and then you do another 3-minute interval, and then you do another 3-minute interval, and you do another 3-minute interval. Maybe you're doing 3-minute VO2 max intervals. Then what happens is your FRC starts out up at the top, right? It's full. Your battery is charged, so to speak. Let's say that that's 20 kilojoules of work, okay? So you got 20 kilojoules of work up here. And then when you start that battery, so let's take it here, it starts out fresh, and when you start doing work, that battery depletes, okay? So you may not quite deplete it all the way, you deplete a little bit. When the interval's over, then that battery replenishes and you get to right here, but then you deplete it again and it comes down again, and maybe you deplete it even further that time, and then you replenish it a little less, and then you deplete it even further this time, right? And then you come back again, and then you finally fail on the last interval, right? You just can't even complete the interval. So you've depleted your functional reserve capacity. You've used all of this energy that you have available above your FTP to do work. You've just used it, right? You've depleted your battery. So that's what dynamic FRC is. If you look at that chart in WKO5, it's a really useful chart because it helps us to understand, one, are you going deep enough? Right? Are you going hard enough in your intervals? Because you want to make sure that there's no set in stone. It depends on the purpose of the intervals. Should I deplete them all? Should I deplete them one at a time, etc.? How do I deplete these? I'll have another video on that in a little bit. But this is a great way to see, am I going into that depletion enough, getting my battery so that it's drained, so that then I'm getting better and more adaptation from that type of work. So that's a little primer on DFRC. That's DFRC is what that is. That's a chart inside WKO5. It works on the FRC, which is right here, all the work you can do above your FTP. I'm Hunter Allen. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll catch you soon.